In the last video, you learned about variables and data types. We created a variable age with the int data type, and it stored a whole number as the value. We also created a variable name with the string data type, and it stored a string as the value. We created a variable weight with the double data type, and it stored a floating point number as the value. We also have a data type char, which could store characters. For example, let me name this variable alphabet and give it a character, this time around with a single quote. Strings have double quotes. Char has single quotes. We can also have a variable boolean which stores true or false value. So I can have the variable smart with the value true. You can store true or false here. So now let's move on to string operations. So create a class and call this string operations. Remember, no space, and you can start each word with a capital letter. You can check the main method, which is where our program will start execution from. Here you go. So now let's create three string variables, str1, str2, and str3. Let's initialize str1 to hello. str2 should be initialized with your first name, and str3 should not be initialized with a value. So remember how to initialize or declare string. str1, for this particular one, let's initialize it to hello. Then string str2, let's initialize this to your first name, so I'm putting my first name, and string str3, we're not going to initialize it, we're only going to declare this. Here we go. So now let's assign a value to str3 that joins the literal value you are to the name held in str2. So we want str3 to be initialized to the literal value you are, and we want to also concatenate str2. So we want this to print out you are and what we stored in str2. So this will print out you are Khadija. So remember, we're putting space here because we want a space between R and Khadija. So now let's display a welcome message to the screen that states welcome and the value held in str3. Remember how to display with the system.out.println. We can have welcome and we can have str3. So this is going to, remember, concatenate the literal value and what we stored in str3, which is you are space what we stored in str2. So we are concatenating this welcome with you are Khadija. Just that this time around we're going to display. Also, I think I mistakenly deleted the closing main brackets, so just put it back. So remember, this should have its closing bracket. This should also have its closing bracket. And for now, the main method is in the class. We're also going to show you how to create other methods towards the end of this program. So now, let's also try to display the length of str1. So length means the number of characters in a string. So if you count the number of characters here, you should have 5. In Java, if you want to get the number of characters or length of a string, you use the dot length method. So system.out.println, we want to display the literal value length along with the length of str1. Sorry, str1. To display the length of a variable, you use the name of the variable dot length this way. We can also display the character at a specific location. To do that, you can use the char at method. The char at method will have an index to know the character you want. It starts at 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So system.out.println first letter, remember your concatenate sign, so we can concatenate this literal value and our variable. So the plus sign and str, let's say we want to get the first letter in str1, we can simply use str1 dot char at 0. So char at 0 will give you the first character, char at 1 will give you the second character, char at 3 will give you the second character. So just remember, we start at 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and so on. So let's run this 3. So you can see our first one, welcome, and what we have in str3. So that is why we have UR, and what we have in str2. So UR Khadija. The second one, length, the literal value as it is. The concatenating sign is going to join what we have here and here. So str1.length, remember it simply means the number of characters in a string. And then this third one, we have first letter, colon, and then str1 the char at 0, which will give you the first character in a string, which is H. If I change this to 1, it's going to give me E, the second character. There you go. So now, there's also a way we can get part of a string by using the substring method. So let's try to display substring of, let me say, str3. We can have str3 dot substring, the starting point, sorry we missed our plus sign, the starting point 0 and up to where you want to end at, excluding the character you're stopping at. So if I put here, it means from 0 up to, but not including character 5. So this is going to give us Y, the first one 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Let's run this. U space A. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. You don't print the 5th character with the substring. We can also change strings to uppercase letter or lowercase letter. If you want to change a string to an uppercase letter, you simply just need to use dot to uppercase. So let's say I have upper, here literal value. So upper, then str2 dot to uppercase. Here you go. So let's run this and see. There. So What I stored here has been changed to uppercase letter. If you want to change to lowercase letter, you simply just need to use dot to lowercase. So you can also compare strings to see if this value is equals to this value. When you're using numbers, you use the two equal signs. Let me put in a comment like this. But when you're using strings, you need to use the dot equals, which we'll see in another tutorial, in the next tutorial. We can also have dot starts with to check if a particular string starts with a letter or like a substring. So dot starts with H, we're just going to check if this starts with H, and it can return maybe a true or false value. So we're going to talk about operators in the next class.